What's up, everyone? Welcome to Toxic Hustle, Hustle Up, not Hustle Down, episode 19. My name is TrajicK Jeffrey, and this is also on behalf of Toxic Labs as we begin building out our courses. I have not been able to build a lot of the courseware stuff yet because of what's going on in this currency. Our currency, money, and the current sea, your energy, current, sea, waters. Where is the energy of these waters moving to so that there can be some money to be made? Because businesses are emptying their current seas. And that's what we're going to be talking about. Today is the talk about this November dip. I am marking it confirmed. We'll see that in the charts. The seasons of Bitcoin don't care what anybody feels about it. It hasn't cared since 2017. It didn't care in 2018 when I was the hope master saying, oh, it's going to go back up. It's going to go back up. But when I kept marking the charts with the dips and listening to the halving narrative that this is systemic, and then thinking about automation, because I am, from my understanding of what is going on digitally, comes from the fact, y'all, that I come from automation. We used to call it macros back in the day. It's now called automation, process automation. We'll be talking about that today because we got to look at where the energy is going. Yes, there are jobs emptying, of course, but there's new ones being formed as the new tools you need to use inside these businesses begin to shift. What they need from you when they said that coding is over, you don't need to code, that is a lie. So get that out of your head. You are going to need to code. Those who can code better than others are going to survive way better than those that can't. And I know this from coming from, I can pseudo code, and I've tried vibe coding, and I come from the place where we were just concentrating on templates, the whole WordPress world. Seeing the benefits of what both can do. And I see the limitations in both, right? So these layoffs and what we're going to see in this coming automation age are going to change everything. It's going to change how we work. It's going to change why we work. And it's going to change what that work looks like at scale, because now you're now needing transactions. It's not one transaction. It's how many transactions you have. As your desktop no longer becomes yours. As the desktop becomes the fractional / gig operation system. But for all of that, please like and subscribe. Please be sure that you're following up with everything that we're doing. So let's get popping. We are on the weekly on the charts, y'all. And I told you last week, we are on the Toxic Hustle YouTube page right here in this video a month ago. What did I show you? I showed you an image, crypto winter coming, and that was over a month ago. That was in October, that we were going to be seeing a dip. The launch in crypto winter. So I'm talking about the labs getting ready to get started. Then I told you again a month ago, crypto winter, AI bubble, and why every biz becomes media. Every business will become a media business. It's already started. Because every person has already become a media personality. Look at their TikToks. So the mind state's already shifted. This is one of the reasons why I've been studying TikTok for the last few months intensively, and now not so much, because I've already seen the destruction of it. It's going to go the way of all the other social medias. Now that it's owned internally in the United States, it's going to follow all the same laws. The encrapification of the system. You're seeing the same thing happen with YouTube, where now small creators get absolutely no reach. But that's also because there's a surge of creators who have been laid off thinking now they're going to become creators because there's all this creator economy money. No, that means there's now an oversaturation of creator economy. So you're going to now see the collapse of that economy, the same way now there's a huge surge in the gig economy. Now, if you go back to our toxic thoughts back in 2020, 2021, back here, if you go back, even if we go to the lives, right? We go back to our lives 2 years ago, AI or die, introducing ChatGPT. This is when I told y'all I'm dipping, I'm out. Products as currency during a recession. We are still in crypto winter 3 years ago. As we began, I talked about crypto winter, but notice in the images, ROI, automation, 6 months ago. If we go back, hold on. Here, 3 years ago, the age of automation, toxic thoughts. If you go back to the toxic thoughts, the robots are coming. I talk about N8N. All businesses are media companies 3 years ago. Here comes the beast, the rising for the sea of man, automation. Business robots, automation. 9 months ago, DeepSeek, the problems for OpenAI, the fact that open language models are going to start eating up these other corporate companies. 2 weeks ago, crypto winter. I even put on the calendar that April 2028 is the next time you're even going to see anything. So we're going into hibernation till 2028 as far as crypto is concerned. And I'll still talk about it because this channel is here to be able to talk about all things digital. Like, as we're making money in certain aspects, you're going to have to move it someplace else. And it can't stay in a digital front as far as money for money's sake, especially as you're watching the charts. Watching my life go down. Right? That's exactly what's going on right now. And we're making the case that this is going to play out, just like we made the case weeks ago when I said, hey, let me make this case. I'm going to do it today. We're going to make this case as to why these will potentially play out. Not saying that it will, but I'm saying, hey, if we have other scenarios and other things happening that are coinciding around the same times that these dates are going to happen, then maybe these will be self-fulfilling prophecies because there will still be no spending. If there's still layoffs in December, who's spending? These people who are laid off right around here and these people who are laid off right around here, see, it takes a while before it hits. We're also looking at this is where layoffs happen. Or fear enters the market. And you can say Trump or Democrats or Republicans or yada, yada, yada. The British are coming, the British are coming. Systemically, something else is happening. And then, of course, the news will try to surround that's reason what's happening. But I've told you, seasons of Bitcoin do not care how you feel. These patterns have shown up since 2017 when I made a video about it. Let's go all the way back. These will be actual videos. Hold on. There it is. The dip. That's October. Hollow crypto. This is November. December. You ready for the jump? I'm thinking it's going to go up. It went up, then it went down. Has the dip begun? Watching for the January dip. November dip, January dip. 7 years ago, 8 years ago. The dip team, I'm calling it before it happened. 8 years ago. And people think that these things aren't going to play out. Seasons of Bitcoin don't care how you feel. It didn't care how I felt. When I thought crypto decentralization, crypto plunder, the blockchain, I'm trying anything. I'm trying everything. Thinking of everything that maybe it's going to go back up. No, it played out and then it got silent and then we circled back around to the next halving cycle. where people thought it was about news that was bringing certain markets down. No, it's about the systemic patterns, and the news follows those systemic patterns. They can come up with news for anything. They can come up with whatever reasons they want, except for what's in front of their face. And if you're now looking at these videos and you're brand new, first, welcome. Thank you for even listening to me for the last 12 minutes, because I know most of y'all don't stay past 15. I know I'm long-winded. My thing is, y'all, this dip is happening. It's happened. And we also got to look at what's happening in the economy. Just the same way in 2020 to 2021, or 2021, for the last halving cycle, when I sat there and started looking at the economy and started taking that into consideration. I was like, okay, I got to look at economic factors, because Bitcoin didn't do what I thought it was going to do again. It surprised me. And you notice this year I haven't really been talking about Bitcoin, and I've told you exactly why. I said, yeah, these patterns just seem to play out, and since people are being laid off, looking at economics, and since there's no new industry quite yet, there's this AI bubble that's about to pop, and they're getting rid of their developers. Now, if they're getting rid of their developers, and we have a oversaturation of developers in one sphere, the web sphere, now we need more scientists on this other sphere for the AI side. But the missing gap is, how do you fill the middle out? The hole that you've left in all the layoffs you've done systemically has no process. So you have gaping holes where you never put an automation process in place for the people you replaced. Or if you did, you lean too heavily on AI, and they're suffering for that. Bitcoin in January. Let's make a case for why we believe, December. In December, the middle of December, let's make a case right now why potentially we will see a dip on this day. So as you can see, I'm in the news section, layoffs in December. Let's just go do a sentiment analysis check on it. Significant layoff warning could force new thinking on the December rate. So, okay, the street is warning that layoffs. So the street is telling the Fed, hey, there's going to be more layoffs coming, so you need to rethink what you're doing. So here we go. Notices of impending layoffs, Bloomberg, by U.S. companies surge in October, blah, blah, blah. So most likely I know Bloomberg saying that they're going to have December layoffs. I just don't want to go there because, you know, they're one of those, you got to put ads all over the thing. Trends in retail, holiday employment buildups and layoffs. Season affects employment each year. So, okay, we'll look at that. So basically, the government statistics are talking about potential layoffs. Oakland County automotive plant expecting to lay off 143 workers during December. Okay. Providence, Swedish, cut 96 positions. So that's medical. Okay. Fed's Wallace says weak job market justifies a rate cut in December. So a Fed employee is announcing that, hey, we may need to think about some rate cuts, but that's not going to save the market, because what's happening is you're cutting too late. They're going to cut too late. They're going to cut once the pain is already felt. We have already got layoffs. We're not seeing a surge in job hirings because there's no position for them to fill unless you're filling an automation position, which is why we're going to be talking about that. Unless you're in here filling in for taking over multiple positions, automation, and having them run without you, automation, there's no need for you to come to an office to do office meetings and lunches and unions and all that. They're done with that. Israeli gaming giant to lay off 20% of its workforce in December. Oh, really? Surprise, surprise. Providence, Swedish, again, that's the one we talked about earlier. U.S. mass layoff alert. Nearly 40,000 Americans got warn notices in October. So if you're getting in October, that means potentially, hey, December, November, these are the layoffs. And let's just get one more page just to check. This winter, Illinois businesses, 6 laid off. Jersey's commute can be tough. Rider University faculty unit challenges layoffs. There'll be more. Layoff notices flared in October across much of the U.S. So the notices is, hey, you may need to go ahead and take this check and bounce before we actually cut you. So I'm showing why in December, if we're not seeing any huge surges in jobs, then we're going to have a problem. So let's ask that question. Are we seeing a surge in jobs? So what I've done is, instead of layoffs in December, we're going to try hiring in December. Anybody hiring? Fed's wallet says weak job market, so no. Exciting remote job roles, okay, in London. Okay, that sounds like an article that's fluff piece. October 25, U.S. labor market update, job seeker interest in holiday job surges. So people are looking for work, of course, because you're getting laid off. But now they're looking for holiday jobs, right? Amazon creating holiday season jobs. So seasonal. But notice this key phrase right here, including in rural areas. So it may not be coming to a city near you, it may be coming to a town near you. That's the difference. Cost lower. U.S. unemployment rolls swelled between mid-September, October. So unemployment numbers are far exceeding the ones that are still on rolls. We got to also check out the on rolls. Did that keep surging? Jobs report, December jobs report, hiring slows but remains silent. Hiring slows but remains solid. It remains solid, but it's slowing. It's solid, but it's slowing. Okay, that's conflicting. But again, I would read the article, but I don't want to go through all their ads and pop-ups, and you can't read but a quarter of the article anyway. But we can get it from the title, and we can get it from a summary, a quick view of it. Construction hiring eases in December, with some states seeing losses. Slowdown in building. No duh. If I ain't got a job and nobody's hiring, where I'm not moving anywhere to live in a new house. Hiring surprisingly surged in December. How is that possible? We're not in it yet. So this is weird. Oh, January 2025. So this is old news. So all of this is old news. So really, we could have stopped right here at unemployment rolls surging. Because there's really no hiring news. There you go. So I made a case. I believe that we can see that December is going to fulfill this dip. Let's look at January now and see whether or not we're going to have the same situation in January. Layoffs, January 2026. Well, first, there was no results of that, so they just took the plus off because they're like, look, there's no results in your refined stuff. So, Mayor President's office prepares for layoffs and a reduction plan in January 2026. Well, we're already starting with that. Amazon confirms it's slashing 14,000 jobs and anticipates more layoffs in 2026. Oshkosh Defense, heard about them a couple weeks ago, impacting another 160 workers starting in January 2026. The Amazon layoffs hit managers, automation, software engineers, automation, scientists, and recruiters. Automation. Flooring vendor, solar firm are the latest to announce layoffs. Solar firm? Yeah, that's not necessary. And this whole state's been having a problem since Amazon and Starbucks started leaving. So that has already been going through its own purge of corporations. So yeah, Of course, you couldn't keep a solar farm going without needing to do some layoffs. More layoffs coming to Illinois businesses this winter and spring. Software company plans job cuts at Sunnydale headquarters. Clary Inc. will cut 96 of its Sunnyvale headquarters starting in January 26, aligning with a nationwide trend of rising tech sector probably losses. GM Ultium sells to lay off 710 workers at Spring Hill facility starting January 2026 in Tennessee. Seattle, Washington again. Rad Power Bikes faces potential closure amid financial woes. So they're getting ready to shut down. You're going to see businesses shutting down in 2026. Amazon just cut 14,000 jobs, and it's not done. So January most likely is in that phrase as well. So I'm making a case that you can't be secure, and there's a double tap in January. You can't be secure where you're at right now. You just can't. So I see more downturn. Just as I told you down here that we were going to end up breaking through these lines, let's see where this bottom is. Okay, so the bottom is at around $50-something thousand. That's where this red line is. It may not break through the weekly red. We would have to see in the past. Has this ever gone below this red line on a weekly in past crypto momentums? Let's see. Let's see if it's ever done it before. Let's go back in time. Let's go back. We're now in 2023. And when you looky there, we are under that red. But wait a minute, if that's 2023, the last ending of the halving cycle is 2021. That was the tops. So that means 2022 would be the great dip in January, which means the following year was the lowest of the low, and we went underneath. And if you go a little bit further back, hold on, we go a little bit further back. This is 2022. So after 2021, we broke down sometime in March of 2022, and we fell underneath that red right there after 2021. So from here in November, dip, crash, December-ish, right? January, then somewhere around March, April, the April dip, from it peaked underneath there. Went underneath that red. So it has fallen underneath that red in the past. And that marks the great cold crypto winter. I am showing you this so that you understand the pain that and the lengths that this can go to. If we're following the red, I'm not saying we're hitting it anytime soon. As I just showed you, it took till April of the following year after this collapse. So we're looking at, they won't go underneath this till sometime in April, but that means that this is going to probably come up to about there before it happens. So we still have from this to potentially 61,000 to fall. And again, we're looking at these weekly charts and I'm saying, hey, if we got these dips coming in January, yeah, I wouldn't be holding on at this point. This isn't the point to be hopium and copium. If you have not gotten out, I would suggest you do. Not advice or nothing. I've only watched the charts and showed you what happened in the past, and systemically this happens every year. I wanted to believe it in 2017 that was going to run back up after the January dip crash. I wanted to believe that, but it didn't, as you saw in the scroll that I showed you in the video earlier. Right around the time that BitConnect crashed, the market had already begun its crash. That April timeline thing happened, and the bottom fell out. That was when I learned seasons of Bitcoin don't care how you feel. I felt it personally. I felt it honestly and humbly. So I just tell y'all this because I don't know how long I'm going to be around. And I'm going to try to build systems that can give us alerts to this so we can follow these patterns. Because the robots are going to trade the way they trade, and humans are going to be the way they are emotionally and how they invest. And the system's going to do what it does. And people will probably never hear of the seasons of Bitcoin because they don't follow me. And you're not sharing it with nobody. And I'm thankful for the few of you that do. I'm just telling you, I don't want y'all losing money because you want to feel some type of way. You want to believe the narrative. Now, let me show you why this means we need to be transformative in changing how we think about how we work in the future. Because as I've shown you with all these layoffs, there's holes in all these companies that will be filled with automation or they will go out of business. I'm telling you this because I've seen it before. If you did not get a computer into your office and put Excel and all this other stuff to have databases and systems in place, you failed as a company. If you were a paper company over a computer company, you were slow, you moved too slow, and you went under. If you did not get on the internet after the internet bubble, and you did not have a web page to be seen because the yellow pages was going away, nobody uses that anymore. They still print it and throw it on your door, but they stopped because it's a waste of money. And they don't even visit the website. They visit Google. What we're seeing now is a transition. If you did not get on the internet and have a web page, you weren't seen. Now you have AI blocking your results. You're competing with Google's AI at the top of the fold. You're competing top of the fold. Let's say, and then you got your roles and your ads, and then you've got, these are still sponsored results. So then you've then got your corporation at the top. And then all of these other companies. So now you're competing, but look, half the page, all the way down here is ads. And then it's still some ad, right? Because it's not ad, but things to know. So you get one result separated, people to ask, then things to know. So they're already pulling you away from a result, like multiple, like, so Google's keeping you trapped in their architecture. So they gave you their AI results. You're not going over here if you just read this and you're done and you click on this video and then you better win for this video. On YouTube, their infrastructure, how it works, right? Now you lock here, you want it, deep dive. So now all of a sudden I'm gone. I'm not going to, like, this is still sponsored results. All of that was sponsored results. So here's the actual result, but then they, again, give you somewhere else to be, keeping you here. They're trying to teach before it even gets to what is process automation by a company who's trying to sell an automation software. This is not real articles from people. These are AI-driven articles or corporate-driven articles. Apps, app, automation anywhere, software. Sponsored results again. Before, I'm going to trap you in my architecture and trap you to keep searching for things. Keep you on my system. So why did I start with process automation? Because again, it is the use of technology to automate repetitive tasks and workflows to improve efficiency, accuracy, and speed. It is what it does. And if you're in a Windows environment like the government, like major corporations, Power Automate. Why am I showing you this software? I don't want to just talk about a problem without giving you some type of result. And for those that don't watch the length of this video, won't get to this part. Or they'll skip around to get to this part, which is still fine by me. Power Automate. If you're on Windows, this is it. Has a subscription, of course. I'm grandfathered in because I've been using it since it was still called Win Automation, and they bought it and then messed it up because you could export exe files, run it on multiple systems, and you could have automated a bunch of Windows machines, which would have given it more reason to be Windows. But of course, Microsoft locks everything up beautiful and destroys it, just like Adobe, for their benefit. But there will be an agentic operating system, and there will be one that's better controllable, especially when it comes to the browser, because we just need the browser to be automated. And then, of course, you can use N8N, which is what I'm beginning to do, on a Windows machine to do automations locally, especially when you start adding Node.js or Python to the action. Now you're working applications internally on your machine, or you're controlling specific files and running specific operations. And you're doing it in a visual way. Yes, you can program things, but I've found that this long term, like it says, write JavaScript or Python. You can add libraries. There's a lot that you can do with this, and you can install this on your local machines using Docker. They have actual downloadable versions for Windows and I believe Mac, and Linux, I believe. But again, you can use Docker and be on any one of those. I'm trying to show you this because it's important for you to understand that we're going to be able to build systems that do things for us and get more work done for companies. For us, finding the reason for automation is more important than speculating on Bitcoin. Do you see where I'm heading? You catch what I'm putting down? If you are in music and you're a musician like myself, then learning to automate the process of your marketing while not being robotic and boring because it'll just become noise, you have to do it in a way where you don't become noise, that you think like a media company, and a media company is also on shifting sand, just like all analog businesses. This digital change happens every X amount of cycles. We're now into the community / subscriptions. We're going to start dying down because jobs need subscriptions to maintain. So people are going to limit their subscriptions unless they find another way to earn. And the only way that I can see as a new way to earn is to really think about automation. So on the business side, learning this is to your benefit. And if you do not know that LinkedIn has courses, I suggest you do. It used to be called lynda.com. They took over lynda.com. And it became LinkedIn Learning. Okay? And if you were to come in here, and if you go into the learning section, and you put in on the search bar at top, Power Automate, you'll see all these courses right here. And when you get a subscription to this, you get access unlimited amounts of courses. And you can put that into your profile and it can help you. Now, I'm not typically looking to just be stuck in one zone of automation, especially when it comes to Microsoft. I've learned, do not make a business around Microsoft's business. Make your business around open source or short, pretty much, they're not open source, but they're close enough. They give you access to upload this onto your own machines and run it. So I build businesses around open source, like WordPress. I built a business around that for a long time. The problem with WordPress is it can't scale. It is not a scalable tool, and I'm still looking for a new home to be able to build my clients' applications on. Because we're still going to need websites, but what we need them for is going to change. They will be hosts to leading people to our communities instead of leading people to a bunch of content. So businesses that are community driven are going to act different. They're going to be focused different. They're going to move different than the shell companies. There have been these shells of themselves when it came time for social media, didn't know how to make those adjustments, hence failed. The ones that did become media companies or it's attached themselves to social media and were able to brand themselves out that way and can continue to brand via video and posts, well, they win. But you have to be posting. So Power Automate, N8N. Those are the top two configurable, workflow-driven, process-driven pieces of software, one of which you're going to have to put some money into. I believe there's a light version that you can use to get your feet wet with it. Pause. But I would learn how to install on your machines. I don't have time to teach you. There's plenty of videos out there, and then N8N installation tutorials. Plenty of people have taught. I don't need to do it for you. I'm just telling you what direction to go in because this is the direction I'm in. I don't have time to make a whole tutorial to tell you how to do this and look for clientele so that I can tell you how to really do that. There's plenty of people just telling you you're going to make money in automation. That sounds good on paper, but in actuality, doesn't pan out. We have to be able to get clients. I'm telling you, learn this tool, learn these tools, because it'll help you get setting up a Node server, right? You will have to install. Here you go. Choose your N8N path. You can purchase from the cloud, which they set it up and they run it, but you're going to pay a larger subscription fee. Plus, I don't know if they are unlimited with the amount of versions you can do because I install my own stuff. I don't even pay. I don't worry about that. You can self-host NPM. So learn how to install NPM or learn about NPM. Learn about Docker. So if you learn NPM and Docker, you don't think you're going to be able to potentially be put into jobs? If you learn, and to do NPM means you got to install Node.js. So learning Node.js is going to help you. Learning Python, which you can then run on the same, so learning how to install Python. Again, if you're learning Docker, you can configure multiple environments. Learning how to manage environments on your machine. These things you put on your resume. These are positions that will be hired for. If you know how to code Node and you're good with coding, and you can write application scripts and maintain them in GitHub, that's going to be big for you. You put that on your resume. Show them your code. Put it online so they can look at it. That is your portfolio. Your portfolio, if you're a coder, is not a website with application screens. It's them looking at your code. So getting good at coding and refining best practices, if you quote unquote vibe code, well, before you vibe code, you better learn how to code a little bit. Get an understanding of what's coming out of the language model, because it isn't perfect. And if they can see that you can clean up the code, that you have an understanding of it enough to start cleaning it up, it's there to help you. But you have to have some fundamentals. So learn, go to that. Again, you can go to LinkedIn and then put in Node.js. Boom. Explore web development with Node.js, Node.js skills, Python, all these Python skills. Start learning. It's actually not expensive. I've done it before. I paid for courses. Do it. That's my suggestion to you, is to do it. Take your courses. Do it. Start learning. Start adapting now. Because the system does not care like Bitcoin doesn't. Like Seasons of Bitcoin don't care. The system doesn't care how we feel about having to make adjustments and relearning trades. The system's going to adjust with or without us. So it's up to us to make those changes and for us to adjust to the change. And it isn't about you just learning this technology to learn it to get a job. It's you putting it to practice and actually creating automations for your business. So again, if you're in music like me, you're going to use it for that. Then what you're going to see is a change in how we as producers begin to do our business. What I'm going to do is actually run this channel here. This is Melodic type beats. I want to put a classification for like all of my tracks that fit this into one zone and one area and kind of capitalize on that. Doing the same thing that most people will have to do, right? To brand themselves differently. And we've got to start looking at how do we brand, how do we move, and being our own clientele. What does that look like? So for me, it's me as TrajicK, the production side of myself. You now having a very refined process to making my music, getting the things that are in my head out faster. I can now cater to the clientele that want this style of music, right? And I can create way more music in this genre because this is what I live. And while I make beats for myself for my album. So if you can, I would really appreciate y'all to help me get this one moving, and you can watch how it moves. This will also help some of you producers out there that are going to need to follow the same type of ideal. What I will do is kind of show you how I'm moving and the directions I'm moving in. And as you can see there, this is brand new channel. I'm just getting it started. I'm going to begin flooding this channel with visualizers. We're going to keep it simple for now and create some music videos for the tracks. But right now, it's getting the music out so that people can express pain in their own way. You know, that's what I do with music, and how I use music is therapy. So if you can, please, link will be in the description. Please follow this latest page. And again, I told you we are a research development company disguised as a media company. We are R&D disguised as a media company. So this is one of the projects where I begin marketing me in a different respect to how I handle clientele for automation jobs. I have to be able to promote media personalities. And I want to take on multiple producers that I can then manage those accounts, right? So it's not just, hey, I'm a producer and I'm going to produce and get my music out. It's no, hey, I understand the basic needs that you need to get your music out, and I'm coming up with a process that, if you allow me, I'll be able to manage your media accounts, your YouTube, and some of your social profiles, and actually do the same thing I do with my business accounts will be the same thing I do with these accounts. Now, I'm going to maintain currently right now my TrajicK Twitter page as is. I may create another Twitter page specifically for melodic type beats and I might do the same thing for Instagram, we'll see. And for TikTok as well. So again, we will see. I'm believing that we have to channel. Like, you create a specific niche channel and then you cater to that channel. And I'm gonna test whether or not that actually is feasibly a correct assumption to make. I will not be putting shorts on this channel. If I do create a short channel, it needs to be separate, because shorts can destroy your YouTube channel. The visibility of it and the subscription to it, it can hurt you. And it takes months after not posting any shorts to get your channel back to long form. And you really do want long form. You want the people to play the whole track and potentially buy it. So this is what this is. I'm going to be testing, managing a production portfolio. And if you are interested in potentially becoming a client where we can manage your portfolio, give me holler at me, contacting me here, or contacting me through the TrajicK Hustle website. Links will be in description to go to the TrajicK Hustle website. And with that, it is time for me to get back to work, y'all. I want to thank you so much. Please subscribe if this information was beneficial to you, or if somebody sent this to you, or you sent this to somebody and you're listening to it, please, or they sent it to you, excuse me. Please like and subscribe. You don't understand how much that helps to see the direction that I need to make. And I'm seeing that y'all want me to be on this path of talking about what's going on with crypto and aligning it towards, hey, what do I need to do to make a change in my lifestyle to survive all of the unemployment? I'm hoping that this video helped at least give you some foundation that you can stand on. And with that, I am TrajicK Jeffrey on behalf of TrajicK Hustle and TrajicK Hustle Labs. Thank you so much for your time and attention, and I'll talk to you again soon. Peace.